Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm your girl, Erica. You know me. For those of you that are my regulars on Saturdays, if you're new, I am a coach and meditation instructor, as well as a nurse. Hey, let's not forget that part. In this space and in this place is where you and I get to press the reset button. You know, those things that we typically hold on to day after day, week after week, months after month, and perhaps even year after year. The things that we're feeling as though it's hard to release in order to truly live this life with ease and grace and some levity. Well, in this place, you get to learn tips and tricks, strategies on living better. And here's what I mean by that. Strategies to help you master this thing called life. Finally live life with joy. When was the last time you felt joyful? When was the last time you were happy? Well, my hope and intention is to make these weekly sessions, and sometimes they're not exactly weekly, but you definitely can tune in most Saturdays each month, is to make these sessions simple, easy, and effortless. So simple, easy, and effortless that you can't wait to join again, to meet me, your girl, Erica, coach, meditation instructor. I am so grateful to have you here. So grateful that we have this community, this sacred space that we get to share and level up and then enter life having some strategies in place to tackle this thing called life. Today's topic, I can't wait to get into it. Today's topic is centered on live life better. Yes, that's actually every week's segment, but more specifically, this topic is around endings and beginnings. Endings and beginnings. It's something that we have to lean into. It's something that even when we don't want to lean into, there are things that typically happen that cause us to have to lean into it. So let's get into it. There are 3 keys around endings and beginnings. Number 1 is to understand your threshold. The second key is to know your worth. And the third key is to make a plan. Okay? So now's the time for you to grab a notebook, if you haven't already done so, to take notes on the things that resonate with you, things that you actually want to bring into your daily life. Or perhaps it's something that you're learning here that you can share with someone else. Again, number 1 is to understand your threshold. Number 2 is to know your worth. And number 3 is to make a plan. We can have the greatest ideas on what we want to do and how we want to do it. But if we're not really clear on the plan, then really what are we doing? Are we wishing it to happen into existence? And if that's the case, then it will just remain a wish. And also, we are placing our life in the hands of someone else to control it, or circumstances to dictate how your life shows up. So making a plan is important, but I'll get into it. Number 1, let's get back to number 1, is understand your threshold. Understand how much you can bear. What is it that you will and will not accept in your work environment, in your home environment, in the relationships that you have with loved ones, whether it be family or friends? How much can you bear? Understand that threshold. And then at what point will you advocate for yourself? Say something to the other person. And also advocate for yourself in doing something about it. whether that be looking for another job, whether it be resigning from the current job that you have, whether it be speaking to management so that you can level up. Maybe you're not feeling inspired by the work that you're doing anymore. Maybe you want to offer more to the organization because you actually like the company that you're working for, but what you're doing isn't quite the right fit, or perhaps you've actually outgrown that role. A lot of times in our work environment, it's that we've either outgrown where we are and feel stuck, or we're not in alignment with the corporate culture. It's no longer where we need to be. And in that place, in that setting, if you will, it's time to move on. Not holding on to the anger of other people and how they're showing up or how they're not showing up for you, but really advocating for yourself in a way that says, I'm going to honor me. I'm going to honor what I'm feeling, and I'm actually going to do something about it. In understanding your threshold, it also leans toward the understanding of what is too much for you. What simply is way too much. Something that you will not accept from someone else and will not accept from yourself in accepting what's being dished out toward you. And in doing that, know where your alignment is. See, in understanding your threshold, it also means that there's something else that you're leaning more toward. So as you release the things that are not in alignment, it grants space for you to be exactly where you are linked, connected, aligned to. I tell you, we spend so much time at work. So much of our waking hours working that it's so vitally important to enjoy, at the very least, what we do. Anything less than that is a life that is filled with stress, anxiety, sometimes depression, and feeling a sense of loss, a sense of not knowing what we're called to do. And the moment that we feel as though we are stuck in that rut is the moment that we begin to chip away at our own self-esteem, chip away at our own confidence, and chip away at our worth. Now, here's the thing. That doesn't just impact your work environment. When you bring that vibe, that energy of feeling less than into your home, it affects the relationship that you have with your spouse, with your lover, with your children. It makes it more difficult to show up at 100% for them because your mind is still wrapped on feeling disconnected, lacking that joy, that meaning, that fulfillment of creating worthy work in the world. The moment we start advocating for ourselves and releasing the things that ought not be, it allows us to show up more fully in life. Our relationships become richer. We internally become richer. And our life begins to look like a garden in bloom, in full bloom. Which then leads me to key number 2, is to know your worth. Know your worth. Absolutely. What are you putting up with that is less than your best? Are you still holding on to relationships that aren't serving you in the way that it needs to? Perhaps you've outgrown the relationship. And in moments that we have to make a tough decision to end things that we are comfortable with, things that we're used to, it's not always easy. That's why many people just maintain the status quo and continue to be unhappy, continue to be resentful, continue to be angry, because they're unsure how to move forward. And in moving forward, it means that you have to make some tough decisions. It means that you must, absolutely must, release the things that you're used to, that are oftentimes so comfortable that you're afraid to rock the boat. But it's in, again, here's this word, leaning in to the uncomfortableness, that change begins to happen, that you invite something new, that you even become something new, a greater and much better version of who you are. Because now you're inviting other opportunities to enter in, other kinds of people, other experiences that allows your mind to even lift from your current situation. In knowing your worth, what I ask for you to do is to take stock of where you are and what you've accepted in your work environment, what you've accepted in your relationships. Segment them in a journal. Just write it down. Relationships, finances, work, personal care, in business. Just have a running list of the various aspects of your life and the areas that consistently show up for you in which you're unhappy. And you find yourself constantly accepting this unhappiness. And then once you've identified those various areas in your life, then just target one thing. Because oftentimes if we try to go for everything, we might be gung-ho in the beginning, but that energy kind of dies out over time because it feels so overwhelming. We're trying to make too much change all at one time. So my advice to you is to choose one thing on that list that you will dedicate the next 90 days to change. That's doable. And the moment that you start to see some changes in your life, you'll notice how your energy starts to lift, your mood starts to lift, how you feel about yourself changes. And yes, it might be uncomfortable, but that's the point in which you have to dig your heels in and remain grounded to seeing it through. And as you start to see successes, improvements, positive change in your life, that will inspire you enough to then select something else on that list until you've tackled the things that consistently make you unhappy. You've empowered yourself enough to do something about it, and you've changed the circumstances around you. Now, if it's a tough decision that you're making, like ending a relationship, or perhaps leaving a job and not necessarily knowing what will the finances look like, or what kind of job will you have, and will it be in alignment with where you are, and are you carrying some of that stress with you into the next thing that you're doing, which oftentimes we do because we haven't completely let it go, or perhaps it was such a traumatic experience that it's hard for us to fully stay connected into the next experience, even if the next is actually a beautiful complement to the change that's needed and necessary in your life. But stay grounded. I ask that you have a circle around you of trusted people, and maybe just one person, someone that you can lean in, an accountability partner, if you will, that will be a stand for you, hold a space for you to be able to vent, to be able to come to for advice, and leaving that experience having felt fully supported into continuing to move forward into this change that you have agreed to accept. Which then leads me into the third key, which is to make a plan. As I said earlier, we can have the greatest ideas, but if we're not executing a plan, making a plan and then fully executing that plan, then it becomes just a wish on a page or in our mind. And that is like a fleeting thought that comes and goes. If you really want to effectuate change, if you really want to see a difference, then it requires that you do what most do. I mean, let's think about it. If you look at companies that are truly successful, they have a plan. They have to have a plan. If you look at great leaders in the world, they have a plan. They absolutely have to have a plan. So why is it when it comes to our personal life that we don't apply that same level of understanding? We are our own business, literally. In fact, it's the most important business that will ever exist for you. So creating a plan to change the things in your life is essential. Again, going back to writing in your journal or in some other form of a writing notebook, things that you have identified that you want to change, why you feel it's necessary to change, and what you are willing to do to change. And also going back, leaning back into your accountability partner, because perhaps they have some insight. Maybe they've been through what you've been through. They've learned some lessons along the way on how to do it better. You know, several years ago, not that long ago, but it's been several years, on one of these TV shows, Diddy, I think he calls himself Love now, mentioned that a closed mouth doesn't get fed. Who wants to eat? I thought, wow, you know, that's so true. Who wants to eat, right? A closed mouth doesn't get fed. So if you really want to see some changes in a positive direction, oftentimes it requires that we open up our mouth, that we speak to the right people, because perhaps there's another job that's waiting for you. But if you didn't open up your mouth, you wouldn't have known about that position. And I have a perfect example of that. Perfect example is many years ago, shortly after actually right prior to my divorce, a couple months actually before filing for divorce, I went to a book club meeting. So this was in the early 2000s, in 2002 to be exact. And I was a stay-at-home mom, and it was time for me to go back to work. And I was in this place of transition. My marriage was falling apart, and at the same time, financially, I had to be able to provide for myself and my children. And in attending that book club meeting, what I didn't realize is that someone would be there to offer me a job. I had no idea. Didn't go into the book club meeting with that expectation. But I went into the book club meeting because, I wanted to discuss the book and I wanted to get together with my girlfriends. And plus I was in a place in my life in which I was feeling down, that being around them, I felt so good. It was like enjoyable to be around them, and I wanted to feel good again. So I went to the book club meeting, and a friend of mine invited her childhood friend to that meeting. And my girlfriend knew what was happening in my life, and she said, Erica, she said, my friend works, and she mentioned the name of the company and what she does for a living. And actually, that was the very job and position that I was looking for online. So in that moment of having that honest exchange with her and her girlfriend, her friend says to me, Erica, why don't you go ahead and send me your resume? I said, oh, sure. So I went home, cleaned up my resume, sent it to her. And a month later, I was hired by her company. Now, she didn't own the company. She worked for the company. But the position that I walked into was a supreme blessing for almost 10 years for myself and my children. Opening up your mouth to the right people will bless you beyond measure. Remember the statement, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So if you are suffering in silence, you will remain in silence, and you will remain stuck. If you want to get out of that, if you want to change up, shift how that energy is happening for you in life and within your being, then reach out to people. Let them know where you stand and what it is that you want. And maybe perhaps you don't know exactly what you want, but you know kind of a little about where you want to be. Still be able to express it, because you will be surprised at how life, universe, God matches that energy and will grant you an opportunity that would not have been had if you didn't open up your mouth and request it. Oh, I'm preaching a message today. And I say preaching is not quite preaching, but I am sharing a powerful message to you today that I hope that you get it within the depths of your being, so that you can begin to see the kind of changes that you need in your life. Thank you for that, Wendy. Wendy said that I am spot on. Yes, Wendy, yes. Now, Wendy and I met in such a beautiful way. That's a story for another time. But she's been a blessing in my life, and I'm so grateful that you're on today's session, Wendy. Thank you for waking up early and supporting your girl. In this time, I think it's essential to really wrap up our mindful session on endings and beginnings, and the importance of granting space for that to happen. So for our own evolution, our own growth, our own levity, there's something great that's waiting for you on the other side. For all of us. Receive that message. Receive it. because it is a fact. And as we lean into moving forward in our life, let's wrap this up by sealing in and breathing in for the next segment of our mindful session. Right now, I'll ask that you get comfortable in your seat. It's really important to reposition your body and make it as comfortable as possible so that all of your attention can be focused on what we are doing as opposed to any pain points in your body. So adjusting yourself in your seated position is vital. And also giving reverence to our shoulders. Oftentimes we carry so much stress in our shoulders and our neck, and we're not even aware of it. You know, stress lodges itself in the body. And all it is energy that needs to be released. Breathing, intentional breathing practice is one form of release. Meditation is one form of release. There's also exercise, walking, hanging out with friends that you actually enjoy being around. That's a form of release. Laughter is a form of release. Comedy, going to comedy shows. There are various things that we can do to be kind to our body because it goes through so much. We put our bodies through so much. I mean, think about all of the thoughts that we have in a day. They say that human beings have 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day. Not 60 to 80 thoughts. Not even 6,000 to 8,000 thoughts. But 60 to 80,000 thoughts in one day. Oh my God. I mean, when you think about that, and if we're thinking with that rapid pace, how much of those thoughts are leaning towards something negative? That's the part that got me. That, my God, if I have that many thoughts per day, then I want to be sure that I'm thinking positively. And here's why this is important. It's important because, and then we'll go back to our breathing practice, but I feel it necessary to actually pause here and share this, is that if we are thinking negatively, that thought triggers a physiological response in our body. It releases hormones in our body that trigger the fight or flight response. Right? And the fight or flight response is what's needed in our body when we feel as though we're going to be attacked, or we've got to protect our life, or there's a real dangerous situation that we need to get away from. That fight or flight response kicks in. That's a natural response for our body. But when we have negative thoughts consistently, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, it will in fact erode, chip away at our health. So when we think about the amount of thoughts that we have per day, we must be mindful and careful. And it doesn't mean that we'll never have a negative thought. We're human. We feel, we emote. That's how we are and how we've been designed to be. But there's this thing called discipline, self-discipline, in which we have to harness ourselves enough, train ourselves enough to switch our thought when it is going off track. Not judge ourselves in the moment, but find helpful practices to release those negative thoughts, which then brings me back to our breathing practice as one helpful practice. I mentioned several others in the beginning: meditation, exercise, laughter, going to comedy shows, etc. So let's check back in with our body, ensuring that we're comfortable in our seat. Let's also pay attention to what our face is communicating. Sometimes we may not even realize that we are carrying a lot of stress until we look at our face like, oh my gosh, girl, quit with the mean mug. You know, sometimes we walk around like this. I mean, you've seen people like that. I have. In fact, I've been there myself. And what do we do about it when we see that? Do we unconsciously continue to do it? That's why these segments are so important, because it allows us to bring presence into our moment, presence into how we're showing up, being responsible with how we're showing up, so that we can create a better experience, a better life for ourselves, and do exactly what this segment is called: to live better. To live life better. Not tomorrow, but right now. So let's release any tension that we have in this part of our face. Oftentimes we clench down when we're stressed. Sometimes we grind our teeth at night without even realizing it. Sometimes we wake up with a headache because we've clenched down so tightly on our jaw. Okay, so release any tension that you have right there. Create some space in between the upper and lower palate of your mouth. And now bring your attention to the corners of your eyes, releasing any stress right here. And now bring your attention to your eyebrows, noticing if you are frowning in any way, carrying any tension in this part of your face, and just simply release it, relaxing this part of the face. And now bring your attention to how you're breathing. Just simply notice the rise and fall of your chest. Internally witnessing yourself breathing, and externally feeling yourself breathing. Bringing a moment of reverence to the breath. And now close your eyes. And again, just witnessing the rise and fall of your chest as you're breathing. I'll ask that you breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. I'll direct you through this breathing practice. Just remain with your eyes closed. Slow and steady, breathing in through the nose. At the apex of the breath, hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4. Release through the mouth fully and completely. Hearing yourself breathe on the exhale. This time you'll breathe in through your nose. Hold at the apex of the breath on 1, 2 this time. Exhale through your mouth. listening to the sound of your breath. Breathing in through your nose. Hold at the top. 1, 2, and exhale. Breathing in through the nose. Hold at the top. 1, 2, and release through the mouth. Letting it all go. Please release the breath. Return to the natural inflow and outflow of your breathing, keeping your eyes closed. And just witnessing the rise and fall of your chest internally and feeling it externally. We'll now go deeper into our meditation. I'll ask you the 4 soul questions designed to help you clarify who you are, what you want, what your purpose is, and what you're grateful for. The first soul question is, who am I? At the core of your being, who are you beyond any title that you have, beyond your finances? Who are you? Beyond your name, who are you? Beyond your race, your religion, your culture, your neighborhood, beyond the experiences that you've had in your life, who are you really? Getting to the essence of who you are, the core of who you are that cannot be taken from you by anyone. Allow yourself to open up to receive whatever responses come to you. The next soul question is, what do you really want? Ask yourself, what is it that I really want? Now's the time to give space, to honor, to recall, and even to witness truly want. Allow whatever responses to come to you, whether it be in the form of a sensation, an image, a feeling, or a thought. However it comes. Allow yourself to be easy enough to receive it without controlling the answer in any way. What is it that you really want? The next soul question is, what is my purpose? In other words, what are you called to do? What stirs your soul and lights you up inside when you do it? What is your purpose? Allow whatever responses to come to you, whether it be in the form of an image, a feeling, a thought, or even a sensation, an inkling of something that's calling you to recognize it. What is your purpose? The final soul question is, what are you grateful for? In this moment, list everything that you're grateful for. This is the foundation of where goodness begins and continues, is by first recognizing everything that you already have. This is how you live life from a state of abundance, knowing that you already have what you need. Sends a message to life, universe, God, that you appreciate it and that you are ready to receive even more. Begin listing silently everything that you're grateful for. Please release the questions and answers. And return to the natural inflow and outflow of your breathing, keeping your eyes closed. And just feeling into the breath. We'll now go deeper into our meditation. I'll introduce today's mantra, which is so hum. So hum. Please repeat so on the inhalation and hum on the exhalation. Repeating so silently as you breathe in, and repeating hum silently as you breathe out. Please practice breathing so in and hum out. If you notice that your attention has drifted to thoughts in your mind, sounds in the environment, or perhaps sensations in the body, please bring all of your attention back to repeating today's mantra. Repeating so on the inhalation and hum on the exhalation. Please continue meditating using today's Sanskrit mantra, and I will mind the time and let you know when the meditation is up. Please release the mantra. Return to the natural inflow and outflow of your breathing. Allowing yourself to just rest. Resting in existence. Resting in awareness. Resting in being. Existence, awareness, being. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Just rest. Introduce today's intention. As I repeat the intention, allow it to flow through your entire body. Then also silently repeat the intention with me. Today's intention is alert, responsive, enlightened mind. Alert, responsive, enlightened mind. Please place the palms of your hands together at your heart center, having a moment of reverence for today's practice. And breathing right here, bringing all of your attention to your heart center. gratitude to your soul. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes and slowly raise your head. Extending the blessing. Namaste. Namaste. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Thank you so much for joining today's meditation. I hope that I will see you again for our next one. And as a recap for today, I discussed 3 keys around endings and beginnings. Kaylin, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for that acknowledgement. Thank you. So the 3 keys for today's mindful session around living life better, and the topic for today is endings and beginnings. The 3 keys that I shared with you were understand your threshold. Number 1. The second key is to know your worth. And the third key is to make a plan. Those 3 keys I found to be very helpful in my own life, as I've had many endings, relationship ending, financial endings, and even career, job endings. And with every ending, it allowed space for something better to emerge. But it's in those endings that can be kind of tough based on where you are, or perhaps you're excited for that ending. Depends on what that ending means and represents to you. So you can find me here on Saturdays, 8:30 a.m. And I generally announce it the day before, but if you don't see the announcement, then it means that I am having the session, even if you don't see the announcement. But I typically do announce it the day before to let you know in preparation to be here for our session. And our session, if you are new to joining me, it begins with a mindful life topic on how to live this life better. Not tomorrow, but actually today. And steps that you can take, 3 keys, in fact, that you can take toward whatever that specific topic is for the day. Please tell your friends about this mindful session on Saturdays. It is free. And if you would like a catalog of all of my meditations, you can head over to YouTube and find me at Rise 360 Coaching. I have a catalog of meditations that you can select based on what your need is for the moment. So you have 2 spaces to join me. As usual, it's time to live better. Right here, right now, today. I'll see you next time.